Well, hello there, my friends. So awesome to have you here today. So, why is story so stinking important to personal brand photography? One of the things that I talk about is instead of pricing based on the number of hours that you work with a person, it's better to price based on the number of stories that you're going to help them capture and show in the images that you're going to work with them on. But why? And what exactly does that mean? Okay, so if you're not sure about that, that's what we're going to talk about today in our Monday question of the week, which I'm super excited about. Which, by the way, if you are new to this video, it's the first time you've seen this, welcome. Each week, Monday at noon Central Time, I am answering one question that came out of our free personal brand photography group, which if you're not part of that, you can totally join right here. Could somebody tap that out so that people can just click on it real easy if they are new to the group. Hi, Liz. Nice to see you here today. So definitely join, ask your questions about personal brand photography in that group, and just check it out. It's a great place to learn. But today's question, and let me turn that link off, comes from Catherine Booker. Catherine said, I'm looking for story ideas for a jeweler who designs and makes bold, colorful laser cut earrings and homeware from mirrored perspex. I'm trying to fully understand what is meant by stories when it comes to personal branding, and I'm looking for examples to try and get my head around the concept. Thank you. All right, so great question, Catherine, because it really is vital that you understand stories. Now, it doesn't matter. Like a lot of people say, like, why does it matter? Why do we need to tell their stories? And a lot of times for personal branding, this means telling their personal stories. What does it matter if they're trying to sell jewelry? Like, why do we want to show, like, that they're a dog lover or something if they sell jewelry? Like, where is the connection here? Okay. And so here's what I want you to understand first. So number one, part of the reason that we're going to tell stories with our images and we want our clients to be using stories is because stories capture attention, especially when there's an uncommon commonality in them. Okay, so uncommon commonality, let me flesh this out. This is a term I learned from Jason Gaynor from the Community Made. Well, I think I used it in his podcast. He's also got a really fantastic Facebook group. If you search for Community Made, M-A-D-E, and request to join, highly recommend it. Really great group, full of entrepreneurs and influencers. Let him know I sent you over. He's great. I also have a podcast interview with him on the Personal Brand Photography podcast. Not Personal Brand Photography, Personal Brand Journey podcast that I do, which is my behind the scenes of growing my own personal brand that I've been sharing. But I'm getting off track here. But uncommon commonalities are when we have something in common with somebody else that's kind of unusual, okay? So like, for example, let's use my hair, right? I've got super bright colored hair. It's a little bit dark on the ends this time, but for the most part, super bright, right? And so when somebody else has bright hair and they see me in their newsfeed, they're gonna be more likely to stop and be like, hey, she's got hair like mine. In fact, there's an ad, I can't remember what company, I can picture the people and their names. I don't want to send you guys looking for it, so I'm not going to tell you that. But there's another gal who has hair who does the exact same like rainbow stuff as me. She does the purple with like a rainbow streak and then purple again. And I see her ads all the time, and I actually have commented on them. I'm like, we've got the same hair. And I feel this connection to them because it's specifically to her, because we have the same bright hair. And not everybody has bright rainbow hair, right? It's a rare thing that we have in common. It's an uncommon commonality, okay? And every group, every audience, every person has these uncommon commonalities with their audience, okay? So for a jeweler, for example, it could really be just about anything. Let me pull up her question again to see if there was something specific. So she's talking about how this person makes bold, colorful laser cut earrings and homeware. Okay, so in this case, she might want to try and think about, okay, if they really like bold, colorful things, then I want to have photos of her wearing these bold, colorful earrings out and about doing what she's doing. But like that's the obvious thing, but like that's one thing, because people, that they're going to resonate with something. If they like bold jewelry, they do. If they like understated, more muted jewelry, they will. But so that's number one. But then two, let's say that the women that she tends to attract are 40 to 50 years old. And I was just talking with somebody who's an e-commerce seller who sells jewelry to this age range. So this is great. And so she might want to actually share stories about things that her audience have in common that might not have anything to do with jewelry, and then find ways to tie it back to jewelry. And I'm going to talk about this in a moment, but let's use this uncommon commonality idea. And I'm guessing on the age range of her clients. You're going to need to know that about the people you're working with. Who exactly are they working with? Who are their audience? I actually have a whole questionnaire in the Story Sessions system that walks you through every single question you need to be asking your clients as you plan the sessions, to make sure that the images that you're creating are actually going to resonate with the people they want to reach and help them get more business. Because if they can get more sales and business, they're going to hire you over and over and over again. It's a super no-brainer. And a lot of people have questionnaires out there that ask a bunch of questions that they don't really use. They just grab like branding questionnaires, but if somebody already knows their brand and you don't know how to take that and translate it into photos, it's not helpful. So this questionnaire actually only asks the stuff that we as photographers need to know, and then goes through how to actually transform the answers into a planned photo shoot that's going to get images that really do fully connect with their audience and help them grow what they're going to grow. So, but one of the things you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, what are those uncommon commonalities? If you're reaching people who are women who are 40 to 50 years old, they're probably going through menopause. Like, I know that might seem weird, but nobody talks about menopause, and it's a thing, man. It is a thing. They may be having kids leave the house and going, they might be becoming empty nesters. They may be, maybe they're going through divorces. I don't know. But this is where you work with your client and say, what is your life, what life experiences have you had that your people will relate to, that you can speak about, okay? So, let's say that they're going to talk about the empty nester stuff, right? Great. Well, what does that have to do with jewelry, okay? So that's where story comes in, okay? This is the beauty of story. This is why we bring stories in again, right? So I get so excited about this stuff. This is the strategy that people will pay lots of money for, because most photographers just go off a Pinterest board and do the same old shots of them behind the computer and them with a wine glass and them sitting on the couch reading a book and, like the super stereotypical shots. When we can dig into their stories, find the uncommon commonalities, and then really help them rewrite those stories so they can reach their audience, it's huge, okay? So going back to this. Did I say empty nester? Yeah, we're going to go with the empty nester. If I said something else, sorry. Kind of a little disheveled today. So with the empty nester thing, if you can talk about how, like, let's say your client just went through this themselves and they just sent their kids off to college, or they're about to go through this, and now their kids are like teenagers and they don't need mom anymore in the same way. So she has all this time to where she can be creating this jewelry that she didn't have before. She can talk about how she can start like finding who she is again, and how certain pieces of jewelry maybe were symbolic of the new freedom that she has, that she didn't have when she had young kids. Like, I've had 6 kids. I nursed all my babies except for one who couldn't nurse. And I remember, and even then, when you're like feeding a baby, like, you can't wear jewelry. 1, because you're too exhausted to care about putting it on. At least that was me. But 2, they grab it, they pull on it, they rip your earrings out. Like, I haven't worn jewelry in ages besides my wedding ring. And I just started wearing necklaces again occasionally when I dress up for something. I haven't worn earrings in years. But part of me would love, I don't even have jewelry, like, that's halfway decent or anything, like, other than my wedding ring. And so part of me would love to be able to refine myself, find my style, have some pieces of jewelry that are meaningful to me. Now that my kids are bigger and I'm not feeding them and they're getting older. My oldest is 14, so I'm 38. So I'm on the cusp. I'm not quite in that 40 to 50 range, but I can resonate and see what's coming up in life, right? And so when you can find those things and they can talk about that, it's going to resonate with their people. And then the story part is where they can tell stories about where they're at, because they've captured their attention and they've connected, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a mom going through that. I remember. Are there any moms here? Even if you're watching the replay, by the way, drop hashtag replay down below. Whether you're watching the replay or you're here live right now, how many of you are moms who nursed or fed babies and had them pull on jewelry so you stopped wearing it, right? Go ahead, let us know. Why not? And I'll come back and be, responding to the responses that I see later on in the future too. But when we've had an experience, we build a connection. It's like we know each other. We know what it was like. We really sense that we know, like we were there. And so when we take that, we say, oh yeah, that was my experience. And now I too am kind of going through this, like I have this freedom and I'm trying to figure out who I am, what I'm needed for, and what do I do with my time, whatever. And then she can tell her story of that, right? So it's going to connect. And then she can talk about the why of her jewelry. Like I started making this jewelry, and maybe she's been doing it for years. I'm making some assumptions, but this is the kind of thing we work with our clients when we find out the real situation, and then we can help them craft this. We can say, oh, so that they can then take this, like they'll post our image and it can capture that attention, right? But they can take that and they can write a story about, oh, I was a mom who was too busy, and then I started selling jewelry when I had space in my life to do something that was me, and I started wearing jewelry to really find who I was and claim my identity. Like you go to those deeper places. The questionnaire can help you go to those places with them. And then you plan these photos around these stories, right? Because when they tell that story and then they say, this is why I bought this piece of jewelry, or this is why I started doing this, then when their audience sees this photo that captured their attention and they start reading the story below, like, oh yeah, my kids, like maybe they see a story of, the mom whose kids are leaving, or they're older kids and she's saying goodbye, and then she's, got the beautiful jewelry on because you want to show her wearing the jewelry. Then she can talk about, my kids are leaving, I have more space. This jewelry is really me refining who I am as a woman now that I'm not just a mom of small kids, right? And what happens is then people who connect with the part of her being a mom and now trying to find who they are, that their kids are older and they aren't needed in the same way as they were when they had 2-year-olds around, or even 8-year-olds around, right? Now that their kids are older and more independent, and she's trying to figure out who she really is now. It's an identity point. It's a transformation point. She can then tie that jewelry piece into that identity piece. And she could say, part of the reason I designed this jewelry the way I did is because I really love to see the bright side of life. I really love to look on the bright side. There's so much darkness in the world that having something that I can wear that's bright, that really reflects the positivity that I feel inside, or whatever her story is. I'm just totally guessing and spitballing here. That's where the inspiration for these earrings came from. And that's why I'm so passionate about selling these to women who are in the same life situation, that they can have something they can wear, that they can say, I have been through some, dark times, and, I know that I'm a bright spot, that now that I'm in this transition, I know the future's bright. Like, use whatever you want, right? So you can use these stories to start tying meaning into the product. Now, you're not writing the stories as the photographer. You're going to go through this with them, but you can explain how story can help connect them from the everyday life stuff into their product, into whatever it is they're selling. Like when we go and we say, okay, what does our audience have in common right now in everyday life that's uncommon, that uncommon commonality, and then how can we use that to shape a story, So like moms who have older kids or soon to be empty nesters, or women going through menopause, or women going through divorce, or whatever it is. Like they have to figure out what those main themes are that they want to, be known for, that they're going to speak about often. And then we create those stories within that. Okay. So, when we do that, we craft, so let's use this empty nester thing. This person could do a whole, little segment in the session with her kids, and like have different images of her wearing the earrings in different outfits, whatever else, but her interacting with her older kids, or her in an empty house that's clearly just her, maybe her husband if she's married, whatever, and talking about how the kids are gone and how weird it is, right? So you think about these things, these themes, and you say, okay, well, what stories do you want to tell within that? Because those stories are the key to helping her get results. And I know that, it's easy to think that empty nesting or having adult children and being in a transitional point of life has nothing to do with jewelry, but it can if we create that story that ties it together. And most clients have that story in them. It's why they started selling what they sell. It's why their people buy what they sell. They don't even always realize it, which is why that questionnaire is so valuable and why our expertise as personal brand photographers who understand the value of story is so important. Okay? And so because our story, here's the thing, our brains sync up when we listen to story. You can control what people are thinking when you tell them a story. I know that's crazy, but there's studies done, and I have a link to it on my site, which is temporarily down for just like an hour because we're having some tech issues we're trying to fix, so don't go looking for it right now. But it's there, personalbrandphotography.com. If you're watching the replay, it should be up and working. Super frustrating when you're going live and you want to share something. But there's this link to a study on there that I found that talks about how when they brought a bunch of people into a room and they were monitoring their brain signals, and their thoughts are going all over the place. Everybody's thinking different things. And then somebody comes in and they start telling a story. And what happens is when this person starts telling the story, every single person in the room, their thought patterns synced up. And I don't know how they measure that, but they did somehow. Like the same areas of the brain fired the same way or whatever it was. And you could literally see everybody in the room think in the same way. It's so powerful. Okay? And so when you see the power of story and you start everybody thinking down the same way, and you can say, okay, now you've got their attention, now you've kind of gotten control of where their mind is going because we're so drawn to stories, right? Then we can say, okay, well, at this point, here's something that happens that's different, and we can assign meaning to something. So, hey, I'm going through a midlife transition. My kids are leaving, right? And now I need to find who I am. And part of that is me purchasing these earrings that show that I know that sounds funny. There's a better transition in there. But exploring style again, being able to wear earrings again that they hadn't been able to wear in ages, or having was it stoneware or plateware or something? Homeware. Okay, whatever homeware is. Having homeware around me, that just brings me joy that I don't have to worry about little kids destroying, because we all know little kids destroy everything. And you can tie in the product and how that has been a part of that transition. So we start on the uncommon commonality, we start telling the story, and then the story transitions to the product and the sale. Okay? We can do the same thing with personal brand photography. Think about that. Okay? If you want to have a discussion about how to do that, let's go back to the free group and do that there, because this video is getting a little long. pbpcommunity.com. It's free. Let's go talk about it there. But this is why story is so important. Because if you're just taking pictures of your client behind their computer, which, let's face it, all online entrepreneurs work behind a computer probably 60 hours a week. Who knows how much, right? It doesn't connect. It's not that uncommon. We need to be able to find those uncommon commonalities and then do photographs around the real stories of transformation that are actually going to help them connect with people in a real way that they want to connect with, and get them to want to buy the product that they're selling. When we can do that, it is an absolute no-brainer. An absolute no-brainer. This is why my story session system, which is my proven step-by-step system for helping people break into personal brand photography, it's for photographers, to help you learn how to find and serve personal brand clients, like entrepreneurs, influencers who want to work with you on an ongoing basis, month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year, so that you have a steady stream of income that you can count on. That is why the whole thing is based on story. That's why it's called the Story Session System. Here's the story. You're a photographer. Our industry has struggled. It's dying. In the portrait industry, even the wedding industry is struggling, right? But the clients have shifted because our phones change things, right? This is the story. Our phones. People don't need to hire a photographer like they used to. But when you realize the shift that the phones have made things like Instagram and Pinterest and all these image-heavy platforms really valuable to entrepreneurs and influencers who want to sell their stuff, And as they get successful, they don't want to be doing the images themselves. They don't want to take the 30 minutes a day to figure out what to shoot, make themselves look good, get the props, do the shoots, pick through the images, edit it. And that's even before any of the writing. If they do 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week, that's 45 hours a quarter. And at a certain point, somebody's going to say, I would rather pay somebody, even if it's several $1,000s, to give me a whole week of work back every quarter so that I have a cohesive set of images that actually helps grow my brand and isn't just a random image. Okay, that's the story that's going on, is that I'm helping photographers who are struggling to see that the clients have changed and that there's a better way to do this than to just show up and shoot. Like, you can come in with strategy, you can find clients who can value you, and then you can have these incredible relationships with people who really truly do value you because you're helping bring value to their business, because you know your stuff, you know the strategy, you know how to truly help them get more results in their business using your photos, right? And then that helps you because you get a steady stream of income. Like, you don't have to worry about the winter months or whatever, your down season is and making ends meet. You will have steady stream of clients that you love, who value you, who are happy to pay you for your expertise. And, it even has a whole system for how you start with the middle market and convert them into these full high-priced clients. Okay, so this is why Story is so valuable. It makes sense. People get it, they connect with it, and your clients will get more clients when we can shoot in Story. It is the core of successful personal brand photography that actually gets results. It's totally different. It's not glamour photography. Oh my goodness, it is not just glamour photography, right? And so when we get that and we understand that and we adopt that into the way we shoot, everything changes. And we find those incredible clients. And that's what I want for you. So if you want to learn more, join our free group, pbpcommunity.com. I'll put the link up one more time. Where is it? There it is. And soon, assuming I can get my website up and coming again, I'm going to be running the 1K weekend again, which basically tells you what to say and do to have the best possible chance of booking your first 2 paying personal brand photography clients. And then for anyone who does the challenge, I have a bonus training that is only available for people who actually do the challenge, that talks about how to convert those portfolio building clients that you get from the 1K weekend into those full-time recurring clients, because lots of people have done that, and that's even better. When you can bring them in as a portfolio building client at a lower price point just to get that taste, give them whatever, there's step-by-step process you can take to make it as likely as possible that they'll then come back as a full price recurring client that works with you on an ongoing basis. And that's what I want for you. And so we're going to be doing that soon. If I can get everything working technologically, I'd like to do it this Thursday, but I'll have it up after that too. So just put that down. You can ask me more about it in the group. I'm not doing a sign up yet because my site's down, but it'll be up. Promise. You can check. It might be up for you right now. You can go to 1kweekend.com and see if it's working or not. But anyways, I just wanted to share that about Story. If you're still not sure, have more questions, ask in our group. Would love to really help you understand this. pbpcommunity.com, and ask any other questions you have there too. There it is. Because every week I'm going to be answering one of these questions on Mondays, noon Central Time, right here on this page. If you haven't liked the page, do that. Definitely sign up to get the live video notifications, whatever. And with that, I will see you, my friend, next week. Thanks for being here. Talk to you later. Bye.